Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Misfits Racing League Grand Prix. It is, of course, going to be Mexico for the penultimate round here in Season 2, and our Tier 2 drivers are going to be taking to the circuit first. But before we get into that, I just want to take a moment to tell all of you that on June 27th, we're going to be taking on the DMR, the Delta Motor Racing European PC League, here on this Twitch channel. It is going to be MRL versus DMR at the Canadian Grand Prix, and we are going to be giving away a Formula 1 2020 Michael Schumacher edition. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you smash that follow button so you don't miss it. It's going to be a lot of fun, and really looking forward to it. But of course, into the main stuff, it is, of course, the 16th round of Season 2, the Mexican Grand Prix, and what a circuit. Joining me today, as always, is Henry. Henry, what do you think about Mexico, my friend?
Good evening, once and all. It's going to be a good one today. I think Mexico's a very tough track, especially the messes.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a tough circuit here in Mexico, as of course, the track limits can be quite tricky. I'm going to take a look now at the calendar and where we've gone. We have one round left this season, one round left, and that is going to be next week in Suzuka. Round 17 to close things off here for Season 2 action. Of course, the Tier 2 drivers, things are a little bit tighter in their standings than we've seen recently in Tier 1, as Zamayo recently clinched the Tier 1 driver title. But of course, let's take a look at who is going to be kicking things off here in just a moment, as my slides are a little gummed up. Of course, these things do happen. There you have it. There is the grid lining up here for Tier 2. It is Extreme 1409 and Jack S over at Ferrari, with Jeb and Max Inkster at Haas, Sensorless and Nigel over at Renault, Liam and Honning at Mercedes, Robbo and Maxim for Alpha, It's a Max and Juicebox at Red Bull, Tammy Halla and Kai Bacchini over at Williams. Kai Bacchini definitely looking to come back for some points today after an unfortunate finish in Australia last week. Jay and Young IP over at McLaren, JM2 and Gadwin at Toro Rosso, with CJ Virtual and Ferch Pavia rounding off the grid over at Racing Point. And I do know for a fact that we are going to have some drivers missing today, unfortunately, but these things do happen, and we have the reserves to fill in those slots. So we'll see who those reserves are once we get into the race. Let's take a look at how the standings are shaping up after Australia. Liam currently out in front of Jay by 1 point in that battle for the championship. Maxim not too far behind with 65 points in third. Now Nigel is on his way up the grid as well, currently in fourth, with the Finn driver Gadwin for Toro Rosso currently in fifth with 42 points. Kai Bacchini, Jack S, Extreme, CJ, and Robbo round off the top 10 with Jeb, Juicebox, It's a Max, Sensorless, Max Inkster, Ferch Pavia, Tammy Halla, the only other drivers to score points here so far in Season 2. Honning, Young IP, and JM2 all scoreless here so far. Let's take a look at the Constructors. Constructors always very interesting. Mercedes currently leading the championship with 148 points. McLaren there in second with 118 points. Haas in third for your top three with 102 points. Alpha and Toro Rosso in a little bit of a battle there for fourth position. 78 versus 74 points, and you can just see the grid is extremely tight for these constructors moving through into this 16th round here, and hopefully there's a big shakeup ahead of the final round next week. But with that said, I do believe, Henry, we are going to be good to go, as these drivers now in the lobby getting things readied up.
I think we're just ready now, I believe, yeah. Ready to go.
Excellent. Really looking forward to this one. Really looking forward to seeing whether or not it's going to be a weather-affected race, of course. Mexico, already tricky enough with those track limits. We'll have to see how weather may play a role. And hopefully it's the most ideal conditions for the drivers, but we want to have some entertaining action here on stream, Henry, so we're always looking for some rain.
I believe I may have accidentally clicked undo spectate, and I've joined as a McLaren, so I'm going to have to leave and rejoin.
You can't leave and rejoin if you're the host, my friend. You're just going to have to retire the car. Currently waiting on Jeb to get things loaded in here. Ooh, and it is a wet qualification here. So, Henry, you are going to have to serve a pseudo quali ban. Just retire your car. Hopefully that doesn't play a role on things here. You got to do it fast, 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 fast.
There we go.
If anybody gets DSQ'd, your car is going to start further up the grid now that I think about it. Well, we can't have a restart as a result of that, as our rules don't cover that, unfortunately. But let's take a look at who's going to be first out here.
So I believe Jack S and Max are serving the quali bans as they accumulated too many warnings.
Henry just wanted to jump in that McLaren to get the Ted Kravitz view at things in the pit lane.
The notebook is coming out.
Tammy Halla, first driver out of the pits here in the wet conditions on those intermediate compound tires. No confirmation on whether or not the race is going to be dry or wet yet.
People are saying it's going to dry up in quali, so that's good to hear.
Excuse me, I had to ban the Nightbot as it started to get an itchy trigger finger. Zamayo posted an emote and got timed out. So that'll teach you to mess with the tier 1 driver champion. we'd rather ban the bot than time out the driver champion in the chat. But of course, back to quali here. Tammy Halla is going to be your first driver here to set a lap here in Mexico. And it looks like the rain has already stopped as far as, nope, never mind. Never mind. That was a fast change of thought there, as we can see some of those drops coming down here on circuit, making things a little bit more difficult for these drivers. You can see as Tammy Halla comes through the double right in second gear here, just looking for some grip. I'd have to say, Henry, it's probably very convenient for you to have done this on Mexico of all circuits, considering the starting straight is extremely long. You're gonna have to. Well, now how are you gonna retire the car? Oh my god!
I would just pull off at the start. It should be okay.
Yeah. And then just retire the car. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it causes a safety car, Tammy Halla, 132.3 the first lap here. A few other drivers going to be crossing the line now. I believe the Mercedes of Wisp is crossing into that section. Ooh, and there's a big spin there as he enters the stadium section here. He resets to circuit, and I'm not too sure who that was that flew by him there. It looks like it was a Haas, but Jay in the McLaren is setting your pole position here now, jumping up ahead of Tammy as well as Jukebox. Fastest time on the board of 128.7 at the moment. Nigel going to be coming across the line now. few more times coming up on the board there. CJ a 129.4, Sensorless a 129.4, Nigel coming across with a 128 flat in the wet conditions. Good time from him, as I'm sure the circuit may be starting to... Actually, the rain seems like it's not going anywhere at the moment, Henry. So I don't know if our information's good on the rain tapering off later on in this race. We will, of course,
Apparently
have to see.
quali will dry up, but we'll see. Yeah.
Or excuse me, yes, quali. Some good times there on the board so far, though. Nigel, 128 flat there on pole position. Jay lining up next to him again, just like we saw in Australia last week. JM2 now in third at 128.8 is his time. Maxim in fourth.
Jeb has spun.
Looks like we've had an off here. That's Jeb.
DSQ. Need to move.
Yeah, I hope he moves that car. We'll jump on with him. It looks like he's just sitting stationary right now. Starting to move things along, waiting for that Ferrari to go by.
Glad we got that sorted. No DSQs there.
Of course, you're looking at Jack S. and Max Inkster at the moment, currently retired out of session. Ooh, and Jeb has cooked it once again coming around the circuit here.
Them tires are really extremely hot right about now.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of drivers have set times here so far, 12 drivers to be precise. Liam is now on the front row alongside Nigel, kicking Jay into third there with a 128.652. Kai Bacchini looks like he's on a flying lap now as he comes through the Sector 1 section. Actually, Sector 2, excuse me. He's just begun Sector 2. I have to refamiliarize myself with the Mexican circuit. I've only just driven it last week, Henry. My short-term memory loss is coming into play really hard at the moment. Of course, Sector 2 here in Mexico can be an extremely difficult section of circuit. Probably one of the more difficult sections through this calendar that we've seen this season, with that S's section. And the wet making it all the more difficult for these drivers today. Wisp into the pits now, and you can see Kai crossing the line. Where's he going to go? He's going to go pole with a 126.380 in the Williams. Very nice for him, the English driver.
Wow.
Passing his teammate as Tammy comes out of the pit lane there. Very quick from Kai today. Good job from him. 3 drivers yet to set times here. It's a Max, Gadwin, and Jeb, the last 3 drivers remaining to set times, as we have 10 minutes left on the qualification clock. Jay on an out lap now, coming through the exit of those S's. Looking to perhaps get back further up into that front row where we saw him a few minutes ago. Times are looking good from these drivers in the wet conditions, Henry. You can see now slowing things down, taking his time, getting the right line set up into his lap. As we go on board with him, he's now crossing that pit entry line. And across the line we go.
Look at the difference between Kai's time and Nigel's time.
Massive.
Really set an example from Kai.
Track evolution definitely could be playing a role there. Of course, knowledge of the circuit could be even more useful here, as Kai Bacchini is a 2nd and 7/10 ahead of your current pole, or your current 2nd position driver. Kai Bacchini, your provisional pole leader, as we are on board with Jay. Moving through Sector 2 now. Into the double right. And up to the S's section, the section of circuit that I was mentioning earlier. Very difficult. Very important to keep it as clean as you can, especially in the wet conditions. He looks like he may have, ooh, you see there, he struggled a little bit in these wet conditions, but DRS has been enabled, which tells me that the circuit is drying up, Henry. Big slide out of the
Indeed.
rear into the stadium section there, and he's unfortunately lost it. And he's going to try and get out of the way of any drivers coming through there. You can see the Red Bull and Toro Rosso coming through now. Good job from Jay to get off to the side. And he has rejoined the circuit safely, doing a good job of pulling off to the side. Very clean from him, and I imagine we will see him dive into the pit lane now as he's taken some damage on that front wing, and that lap is definitely in the bin. 15 drivers have all set times now. Currently, Kai Bacchini, your pole sitter. Nigel lining up on the front row next to him. Maxim in third, jumped ahead of Liam. A 128 flat right behind Nigel is Maxim. Liam currently 6/10 away from the top three. Jay will see jump out for another lap soon. Liam, though, currently in P4, looking to improve. On a flyer, about to enter into that S's section.
Nigel, it's a bit early for the softs. I'll give it a few more minutes yet, but I think he's going to try him out first.
Liam coming through the exit of the stadium now. Time is looking good, Henry. We'll see what he's able to string together, but he's going to go into the pits. He thinks that it's time for the dry tires, perhaps. He's going to abort that lap, as he will have a much better idea than us of whether or not he was going to improve, and it looks like he wasn't. So he gets into the pit lane now. Juicebox has had an off of some kind in Sector 2, as he's now going once again. I do believe Sensorless, or the other Renault, that's Nigel on an out lap. On the soft compound tires now, Henry, making his way through the S's. Will really have an idea of what the traction's like in these wet conditions for him, and it looks like the traction is fantastic on those soft tires as he makes his way out of the S's here. 6 minutes left remaining in the qualifying session. If you folks are new to the stream, we're happy to have you, and it is Season 2, Round 16 of the Misfits Racing League action. Make sure you smash that follow button. We have the Tier 1 drivers coming on later this evening. And I'm looking forward to both of these races and how the rain in here in Quali is going to shape up this grid. Nigel beginning his lap now in the Renault. Looks as though this circuit has dried up extremely quick, as Nigel finding a lot of traction on those soft tires, Henry.
Indeed. Wonder what time he can put together. Oh, it's Tammy.
He's coming up on an outlapping car here. That's Tammy Halla in the Williams, currently pulling over now for Nigel. It is possible he lost a little bit of time there as Nigel came up behind that Williams. You can still see the track a little bit damp through this S section. He is pushing with high batteries, so he's going to have a little bit more wheel spin. Coming down into the stadium now. He's currently 4.7 seconds up on his time, Henry. Coming into that Sector 3 split.
Makes a big difference. Might have lost a bit of time to tally that. Oh, is James retired? And it's coming out of the first chicane.
And there's Nigel on to pole position with a 120.6 on the soft compound tire. And we've had an off. As Henry mentioned, that is JM2 out in the middle of the circuit right now. Looks like some kind of crash. And I believe the marshals have cleared that up now. Maxim on a flyer in that Alpha. He's on the soft compound tires as well. You can see now at the grid all of those tires that are currently selected. Most drivers opting to jump onto those soft compound tires. So still no idea what the weather is going to be like for the race, at least on my end.
It's a dry race.
So it's going to be dry. Okay, so dry race.
Indeed.
Everybody's setting those times on soft compound tires. What do you think about race strategy here, Henry?
We raced last week in PPR, which I think... I actually can't remember. I think we did a soft, hard strategy. But then I had to change because they were shocking. So I would recommend going for the soft, hard. Mediums can last if you manage your tyres well, but they're very risky.
Maxim has now gone faster than Nigel for a 120.4 and CJ a 119.7, so that track is definitely drying up. CJ is your current provisional pole sitter with a 119.7, currently 0.8 up on Maxim. Very good from him. Liam in the Mercedes is out once again, and I believe Jay will be coming out perhaps very, very soon in order to get further up this grid. As we're on board with Liam coming through the S's section. Very close to an invalidation there as he almost cut into that curbing, but he did a good job of keeping that front right tire out just enough that he didn't invalidate. What's the time going to be? It's a 118.4, and that is Liam, the Canadian Mercedes driver, on pole position here in Mexico with 2 minutes remaining here in quali. Very nice from him. A couple of Canadians in the top 3 right now. You know how I am about that, Mr. Henry.
You love to see it, don't you?
Oh, I do. And there is Jay, as anticipated, now leaving the pits with very little time left here in the session, bringing things down to the wire, as always, in that McLaren. We've seen him with some very, very impressive timing here throughout the season, trying to get the maximum that he can out of the circuit.
This juice box goes P2 with a 119 flat. Solid time.
You love when the qualifying gets dynamic like this, Henry, because it really, really shakes up the grid. Wisp is now about to cross the line with another lap here. It's looking good from him. What's he able to do? A 119.336, but I'm afraid it may have been invalidated, as that time hasn't come through on the board. That was a massive improvement, so it's very possible that that was an invalidated lap. And it looks like he will be going once again. Sensorless on a flyer coming through the S's section in the Renault. Looking to improve on that 128.2, currently sat in 10th. And there's a driver behind him. I do believe that is his teammate Nigel on an outlap, which means, Henry, Nigel could very well get a solid tow down the straight, and that's Extreme in the Ferrari with pole position now, as he has now bumped Liam into second. That is a 117.469. Sensorless comes across a 117.560, and this grid has been shaken right up as Nigel, now not getting any kind of tow from his teammate, is going to go down into turn 1.
Quali has finished. Jeb come around the last corner. See what he can. I think. Oh,
P4.
there you go. Yes, P4.
And Kai Bacchini has now gone into pole position once again here. A 116 flat from him. Jeb doing a good job of getting himself into P4 on those soft compound tires. We're going to jump on with Jay now, as he is on a flyer through the S's section. Very careful not to invalidate there. It was close. Very touch and go there for the McLaren. Coming into stadium now, where we saw him struggle earlier on with some of those slick conditions. Looking very clean this time around. He is looking good, Henry. Rounding the penultimate corner.
P1, surely. There we go.
Look at the gap between him and Kai Bacchini. That is Jay on pole position here in Mexico, a 116.023. Lining up next to him is Kai Bacchini, a 116.023. 1.26. 3/1000ths of a second behind the pole sitter. Wow, that is some very
That's your
impressive
grid.
stuff from them. Looks like we're going to have a battle between the McLaren and the Williams squads here today, Henry.
Once again, you'd have to see it. I think that's your grid finalized.
Jay on pole position, Kai Bacchini lining up next to him in second, Extreme in third, Sensorless fourth, Jeb in a fantastic fifth position, Wisp in sixth, It's a Max seventh, Liam there in eighth, and we will get the rest of the grid for you in just a few moments' time. But there it is, the McLaren of Jay taking things home for pole position here in the 18-minute qualifying session. Very good job from him. So once again, Jay on pole, Kai in second, Extreme in third, Sensorless is fourth, Jeb in fifth, Wisp in sixth, It's a Max seventh, Liam in eighth, Juicebox in ninth, and Squid rounding off the top 10, CJ in 11th, Maxim 12th, Nigel in 13th, JM2 14th, Robbo in 15th, with Tammy 16th, Jack S in 17th, Gadwin in 18th, and Max in 19th as Henry was very cheeky and wanted to jump into his favorite car. Just kidding.
I'll have to pull off at the side.
What a very unique qualifying session that was, Henry. And like you said, I do believe we're going to have a dry session here. You can see the sun is shining, not a cloud in the sky here in Mexico ahead of this race. And we have a massively, massively shaken up qualifying grid for this race, which is going to make it all the more interesting as some of those fast drivers that we've seen put some very good times throughout this season, starting in the midfield or even further down at the back. So I'm hoping to see a lot of overtaking here. As the formation lap is underway, we can see there Jay leading things off in the McLaren. I wonder if it'll let you retire during the formation.
I cannot, unfortunately. I would love to race, but
look at this sneaky look at this sneaky boy here in the McLaren. Don't cause any incidents there on the formation lap there, Chief. But anyway, so one McLaren on the field today, as Henry isn't supposed to be there. He's supposed to be in the commentary booth, but he thought he'd go down for a stroll there. And it's a very unique grid, Henry. It's a very unique grid. I know you can't really see the full grid right now because you're trying to drive the car. But we have the racing points in 10th and 11th there, right in the middle of this grid. The Mercedes currently 6th and 8th. We have Sensorless in 4th position for Renault with his teammate Nigel, who won in Australia, for those of you that did not tune in. And it's very interesting to see him in 13th here, but of course those dynamic qualifying conditions threw everybody off, I imagine. We saw Jeb struggling at the very beginning there on his first lap out on those inters, but obviously doing a good job of getting things back under control as he set the 5th fastest time. As Jay now aligning the grid to catch things up. All drivers now approaching the grid for this Mexican Grand Prix. If you're just tuning in and joining us, make sure you smash that follow button, as the action isn't going to be ending after this race. We've got a whole other race to go. The Tier 1 drivers are going to be taken to the circuit just after the Tier 2 division. Jay now at the line. I do believe the last car approaching the circuit, and we're going to have to take a look at how things go down into turn 1 as the lights are about to come on. There they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights here in Mexico. It's lights out. We're off racing. Big puff of smoke coming off the rear of those cars as they're away. Down into turn 1. There's the retirement from Henry's that we were all expecting. And here we go, Extreme along the outside of Kai Bacchini down into turn 1. There's a a Renault way outside there. I believe that's Nigel behind the rear of Robbo into the grass, and there's a massive exchange. But Jay leading this race, Kai in second, Extreme in third, and we had a fantastic turn one there for those three. And we have a VSC deployed here as what I do believe was a result of some contact on the inside of turn one between a few of those drivers. So everyone just slowing things down now. No harm done. Everyone just having to slow down. Take a look at the position changes real quick here.
Great start from CJ, up 6 places.
What a start from
Also,
CJ.
Jack S, up 8.
Very nice from them. The battle for the race lead here off the start of this race. We've seen Kai Bacchini and Jay do battle before. Of course, Hungary comes into mind, where Kai unfortunately cooked his tires, resulting in a major collision between the two of them. Extreme in that Ferrari, looking to show some pace for the Scuderia today, currently running in third with the Renault of Sensorless behind him in fourth as we get a real-time update on all these intervals. Jay crossing the line fastest here so far. A 1:27 flat is the time. Got some overtaking action going on there. It's Liam versus Jeb down into turn one. That is Liam currently on the rear of the Haas, choosing to follow him down into the turn. Meanwhile, Wisp and the Alpha of Maxim are battling with Jack S not far behind. A lot of action here on the opening couple of laps. As Juicebox is already pitting in the Red Bull as he's unfortunately had some issues. Maxim missing a front left end plate there. Behind Liam, the two Canadian drivers battling on circuit now, moving through Sector 2 into this S's section. That wing is going to really, really hurt Maxim. The Ferrari of Jack S behind him, and there's an off. That's Jeb off at the S's section. We'll have to take a look as drivers make their way by. It looks like he's crashed onto the inside wall in a very, very difficult position. After such a great qualifying session, you hate to see it, Henry.
And there's CJ into the wall as well.
And CJ's had an off. A little bit of a tap there, an end plate off of the front left as It's a Max makes his way by. DRS now being enabled as Jay has crossed, Kai Bacchini has crossed the line in the lead of this race. Jay and him looking like they're having a drag down into turn one. Extreme sticking with them very well, showing great speed here in Mexico, as they've already pulled 3.6 seconds away.
Oh, big instant going into turn one there.
Still no full safety car. Watching this battle unfold in the lead of this race right now. Maxim and Liam are still battling. Of course, Maxim with that wing damage as they are wheel to wheel coming into the S's section. Liam gets out in front. Train forming here behind Liam.
Cap. As Juicebox receives a 3-second time penalty, some water warnings.
Maxim is losing out here to Nigel. That wing is definitely playing a role in his pace as Nigel up the inside. Liam with a big swerve onto the inside line to perhaps defend against Nigel. Nigel, is he going to get that move done? And we have a full safety car deployed here. Everyone required to slow down that pace as Nigel almost made the move of the race there. As Liam cutting to that inside line. Nigel on his outside with Maxim right behind. That was very close between all of the drivers. And as we have a full safety car now on lap 4, very interested to see what kind of pit stop strategies we're going to see come out of the box, Henry, as mediums and hards are available.
Robbo, drive-through penalty. Oh, it's very unfortunate.
As Tammy Halla is out in the other Williams. Not entirely sure what happened to her.
She crashed at Bottas, I think. If you remember when he was breathing heavily down the mic.
Oh, yes. Yes. Well, as a Finn doing what Finns do, I guess. Gadwin, though, speaking of Finns, currently in 12th position. Maxim and Nigel.
Kai hasn't decided to pit.
So Kai
Very
staying
strange
out on
decision.
those softs. Sensorless staying out. Nigel as well, with Jack S all staying out on those soft compound tires. Could be a mistake. Could be a big brain strategy. Time will tell, as a good chunk of this grid is going to be diving into that pit box now.
Robbo.
You can see the
Again.
busy pit lane. All of these drivers jumping in. Jay has opted to jump on some mediums with Extreme, the driver who is ever so close to him entering the pit lane, jumping out on those hards. As I do believe there's a couple of drive-through penalties that got handed out during this safety car, Henry, if you're able to take a look. Safety car deployed on lap 4.
So I've got JM2 with a drive-through. I've got Robbo with a drive-through. Robbo's got speeding in the pit lane 5 seconds. And Isamax with another 5 seconds for speeding.
Very unfortunate for both of those drivers, of course. Safety car, very strict on pace. And you are unable to serve those drive-through penalties under safety car conditions, so hopefully none of them make that mistake, as it could even put them further back down the grid. Safety car more than likely going to be coming in here at the end of the 6th lap. It's a long race here in Mexico, 36 laps the duration, and that's only 50% of what we see the big boys do in the Formula One World Championship. And Mexico, for a lot of those folks that are familiar, an excruciatingly painful circuit to drive as far as the track limits and penalties are concerned, as even the most minuscule of track limit exceeding warnings can provide you with severe penalties. Meanwhile, it's Kai Bacchini currently leading this race in Mexico behind the safety car. 5 drivers opted to stay out on those soft compound tires. Max Inkster, who served a qualification ban, as well as Jack S., who served a qualification ban, are currently running 4th and 5th. And that's very good for them as far as track position is concerned, considering where they started, Henry. But of course, that soft compound tire can wear out decently quick here in Mexico. And it could prove to be a mistake, as Liam, Jay,
safety car in
on those medium tires, as well as Squid in 9th there. Maxim opted for a fresh set of softs. Very interesting from him. Safety car in. Kai Bacchini now weaving, getting those tires nice and hot, slowing this grid right down as safely as he can, as he is now the de facto safety car. Maxim taking a 5-second penalty for a collision with Squid. Extreme taking a 5-second penalty. Oh, and there's a massive amount of penalties coming through. I'm not even going to pay that any attention, but it is Kai Bacchini now on the throttle, off here. You can see Nigel and Sensorless, as well as Jack S., all in a battle. That's Jack S. along the inside now. Nigel on the inside of Jack S. into turn 1. Who's going to get the move done? That's Jack S. out in front of the Renault. The Renault gets the position back, though, on the switch.
Oh, a double Renault, 2 and 3.
Nigel battling with his teammate. Is he going to make the move around the outside here? They're wheel-to-wheel in the double right. Sensorless currently in 2nd position. Jack S looking for space. Kai Bacchini is breaking away. 2.5 seconds already is the Williams driver ahead of this battle for P2 between teammates, Henry. Nigel now looking for a move along the outside into stadium section here. Is he going to get it done? A little bit later on the braking. Ooh, very nice overtake there from Nigel. They're still fighting, though. On the inside
Jack
now
S
is
on the
Nigel.
rear.
Jack S is going to get through here. Very good driving from Jack S there in the Ferrari, getting out ahead of Sensorless. Now it's the McLaren of Jay, who was absolutely flying at the first phase and first stint of this race. Currently on the rear of Sensorless on the 3-lap old mediums. In a very good position here is the McLaren. Still a lot of battling here after the restart. You can see there Maxim once again damage on that end plate. He is now behind the Ferrari of Extreme. Max Inkster has dropped back into 8th position. CJ and him wheel to wheel now, with the Mercedes of Liam in on all of that action. CJ now into 8th position. Max goes a little bit wide there. Liam into 9th. You can see there the Mercedes gets by him. He's into 10th position. Those softs not doing him any favors at the moment. Squid looks like he's struggling through the S's there, missing that front left end plate. A lot of battles going on. CJ and Liam. Liam on the outside into stadium section now. Is he going to get that move done? Yes, he does. Very nice from him. Liam now looking to hunt down his next target. That is going to be fellow Canadian driver Maxim in the Alfa Romeo ahead of him. Maxim looking for a move on Extreme. The Ferrari in 6th.
Wow, look at the speed from the McLaren.
There's another overtake. Sensorless and Jay fighting in 4th position. Jay showing so much more traction on those fresher medium compound tires, Henry. Maxim and Extreme battling wheel to wheel. Extreme and Maxim both missing portions of their front wing. Liam a little bit luckier in that regard. Bit of a kick out from the rear of the Ferrari there. Maxim up the inside. CJ and Liam gaining quite quick here. Very close there is Liam on the side of Maxim. Maxim and Extreme struggling. Liam looking for some kind of gap to push through here. He has CJ right on his rear, putting pressure down. Sensorless has jumped into the pits. Everybody's going to move up a slot now.
Onto the hards. They can easily last 26 laps.
Maxim round the outside of Extreme. Isn't able to make anything happen here. Liam watching this unfold. Max Inkster taking a 3-second time penalty after multiple warnings. Those penalties that we've seen some of these drivers take throughout this 10 laps so far, Henry, definitely going to play a large role. Bit of a tap there on the rear of the Alpha from Liam. Maxim takes a penalty as a result of exceeding the limits. CJ with a great view of this. Liam looking for a gap. He is being so patient there in the Mercedes on these mediums. He has to make quick work of this traffic, or CJ and him are going to be at odds as far as tire wear. CJ doing a very good job of sticking with the Mercedes. A little bit of a tap there. He's pushed Liam. I don't know if there's going to be any damage on the front of that Racing Point, and there will not be. As a result of that, Liam has actually dropped out of the DRS of Maxim, which is huge for Maxim as he's in the DRS of Extreme. Extreme without the DRS. Maxim down the outside now into turn 1. You can see they're missing that front left end plate. That turn is going to be quite difficult, and Extreme's had an off. Maxim is into 5th, and that is very quick thinking there as Extreme gets back onto the circuit, still in 6th position, but we have CJ getting out in front of Liam as well. Liam on the fresher medium tires, though.
Oh, as Whisk gets a 3-second penalty. I think
Jay in a very good running position here. You can see he's gaining absolute maximum pace on these soft runners ahead now. You can see 0.6 and counting down is the gap. He's already made up half of that in this few turns in stadium section here as we come through the final turn. Are we going to see any pit stops? That's Jack S now into the pits. That's going to promote Jay into 3rd position on the 7-lap old mediums. Maxim more than likely will take a position as well. Wisp in the Mercedes is now into the points. 10th position for him, getting out in front of It's a Max, but It's a Max isn't done with him. It's a Max now. Both of these drivers with DRS, they're having an absolute drag race down, and there's a Haas. That's Jeb looking for a move perhaps up the inside, and he is going to go for it. Ooh!
It's a Max.
Really late on the brakes as It's a Max there. No regard for the Haas whatsoever. Jeb going to lose out a few positions now. It's the other Red Bull Juice Box in 11th getting out in front of him. He isn't finished with these guys yet, though. DRS down into the left-hander. A little bit late on the brakes there. He's going to lose some time to Juice Box. Wild battling here. Squid currently less than half a second behind Wisp in this battle for 8th position. Wisp currently 4.5 seconds away from the battle for P8, or excuse me, P7.
Robbo's retired. Oh, in the pits, I believe.
Kai Bacchini staying out here, Henry, on lap 13. Pushing these softs as far as he can. Nigel has blinked. He's into the pits looking for an undercut. Jay is now up into 2nd position as well.
And a wing change as well for Nigel.
Liam into 5th. Maxim is now running on the provisional podium on the 8-lap old softs. Of course, he is yet to pit. You can see it on screen there. Oh, he has pitted, excuse me, under the safety car. Actually, excuse me, where did he pit?
Who's this,
Yes,
sorry?
he had to pit very early, excuse me, Maxim.
Yes, he did pit, yeah.
Onto the fresh
Safety car.
onto the fresh set of softs. He pitted for softs. That
Yes, I
is
believe so.
starting to make so much more sense to me now as Kai Bacchini still leading this race, looking to see if he's going to pit here at the end of lap 13.
He's made them soft last. He goes down to the mediums now. Oh, double lockup. Them tyres are
Meanwhile, the
very
train
worn.
is still going through this S's section. Extreme behind Maxim. Liam in 5th, CJ in 6th, Wisp in 7th, 4.6 seconds behind this action. Ooh, and that looks like Liam. He looked at the inside of Extreme there, thought better of it. He has a fully intact front wing. He doesn't need to fight these drivers too bad. There he goes again. Extreme into the rear of Maxim, Liam into the rear of Extreme. And CJ almost managed to get a move done there on the Mercedes. Kai Bacchini has stayed out once again. That gap is absolutely shrinking. Extreme out in front of Maxim into turn 1, but Maxim very late on the brakes on the inside. Is there going to be contact? So far it's very clean, a little bit of a brush of the tires. Extreme getting that move done. Very nice from the Ferrari. CJ alongside with Liam now, into the left-hander, out on the inside. He's gotten that move done on Liam as well. Great display of driving we've seen in some of these battles so far here, Henry.
Very nice. Nice to see some clean driving once again in the MRL. I think Kai Bacchini's made a big brain move here.
Kai finally
The
into the pits here.
mediums
He was nearing
will last.
risk of a puncture. He's currently 5.8 seconds off of his personal best time here in this race. I don't know if the time loss was worth it, as Jay was absolutely gaining on him. He's jumping onto another set, or excuse me, his first set of mediums for this race, so he's going all the way to the end on those, it would seem. Where is he going to come out here? All of the drivers now coming down the pit straight. It's possible he might lose one more position here to the P7 Mercedes, and he's not going to. So Kai safely out into 6th position. Catching up to the rear of this train is now the goal, as he is on the freshest tires on the grid. CJ looking at Maxim. Maxim in 3rd now as a result of Kai Bacchini's pit stop. Jay currently leading the race for McLaren. Extreme in 2nd on the 10-lap-old hards.
Oh, as Kai gets 3 seconds, that might be crucial to come to the end of the race.
Kai has already caught up with this train. He's alongside the inside of Liam. Kai Bacchini with a lot of speed on those fresh mediums. Maxim into the pits now, jumping off the softs. Kai Bacchini already back into 4th position here, and he is going to have DRS coming down this straight behind the rear of this Racing Point CJ Virtual, currently running in 3rd. CJ Kai Bacchini wheel to wheel down into the left-hander now. Kai Bacchini out in front. It looks like he's gotten that move done. The traction coming out of that Williams is absolutely amazing. CJ has taken a 3-second time penalty. That is going to cost him. Liam now in 5th position, looking to hunt down CJ on the 1-lap-old fresher compound tires. His teammate Wisp currently running in 6th behind him. Kai Bacchini already caught up to Extreme. Extreme on the 11-lap-old hards. And we have a retirement. That's sensorless in the S's. We have a safety car deployed here on lap 17.
Tell you what, that's perfect for Jay.
You can see Maxim now coming through here. We'll see if he's able to see what happened. You can see the Renault off to the outside there, coming through the exit of the S's section.
They can. Extreme, you need to go past the safety car. It's a green light. I'm not sure if they know that.
Doesn't look like he knows that that safety car is trying to let him by.
There we go.
Now, Henry, you have got to pit behind this safety car. Lap 17, I imagine most people will be doing so. Liam decided to jump onto softs.
Ooh.
Not sure about that. Very, very interesting strategy, as this is the 2nd full safety car deployment we've had here in this race. We had one on lap 4, and we had one here as Sensorless was finishing up lap 16 as well. 20 laps remaining here in this race, or just shy of 20 laps, as I do not believe Liam jumping onto those soft compound tires was the right call here, seeing as how we only saw Kai Bacchini go 15 laps on them with almost 80% tire wear. At severe risk of a puncture, I do not believe he will be able to make it to the end here. If you're Liam, you pit again here. Ooh, and he's
Yes.
staying out. He's staying out on the softs. He should have pit. He had the opportunity to correct the mistake, and he's not going to do it. Oh, my God. Absolutely
Jay,
terrible for the
though.
Canadian driver. Jay is on an absolute monster strategy here today. Fresh mediums leading this race for McLaren. Kai Bacchini on the 3-lap-old mediums has decided to stay out. He's going to be going to the end on those. Wisp on the 13-lap-old mediums has opted to stay out. Can't say I understand the call there, but of course I'm not driving. I'm just watching things go down. What an absolute crazy race we've seen here so far. Tons of overtaking, tons of drama with safety cars, Henry.
Indeed. Great. Some great battle, actually.
We even had an instant retirement
as
from
well.
a McLaren. Like, it's just been wild.
I wonder that could be.
Juicebox on the hards, CJ on the hards, Extreme on the hards. Looks like everybody's out of medium tires, Henry. As mediums can very well make it to the end. Jay in a fantastic position. 3-lap fresher tires for the race leader. Safety car more than likely going to be coming in here at the end of lap 19. I have to say, Extreme has been having a fantastic race, but he lost a massive amount of time following the safety car when he didn't need to be following the safety car. So he has dropped back into 10th position in the Ferrari. His teammate Jack S currently in 7th after a qualification ban. Max Inkster onto the hard compound tires, currently at the back of the grid in 16th. He also served a qualification ban in the dynamic weather quali. As we're under safety car conditions, I'm just going to take the moment to remind everybody, June 27th, we have a League versus League exhibition event. It's the Misfits Racing League versus the Delta Motor Racing League. And we're going to be giving away a copy of the Formula One 2020 Michael Schumacher edition. So make sure you tune in for that. Yes, of course, it's going to be June 27th. It's a Saturday at 2 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock p.m. British Summertime. And I highly suggest you guys all tune in for that. It's going to be a all-star race, if you will. A lot of very fast participants, I imagine, we'll be seeing take to that, and I will be commentating for sure here on the Misfits Racing League Twitch channel. So smash that follow button if you don't want to miss that. Of course, after this, Tier 1 action is coming. Safety car has come in. Jay is away now. Kai Bacchini on the rear end.
The gap already.
Wisp is already at risk of overtake from Nigel here on the restart. Kai Bacchini out in front of Jay already into turn 1 as they are currently wheel to wheel. Kai with a great restart on the McLaren. The McLaren on the fresher compound tires though. Penalties, of course, for these guys could play a role. As Squid has taken a multitude of penalties here in this race so far. Not good for him in the Racing Point at all. Currently have an all-English 1-2 at the moment.
And 3, I believe.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Well, excluding the constructor, excluding that very French car, the very French car that he is driving.
Oh,
yes.
JM2's retired. Coming out of the S's with looks like a collision.
We have a VSC deployed here.
So many penalties being given out.
Now Liam is taking the opportunity under the VSC to come into the pits. That could pay off well for him. He's going to jump onto some mediums. And there's a double stack. That's his teammate Wisp in. Oh my, Wisp, who did not take the time to pit under safety car, which was, in my opinion, a very large mistake, has made an even larger mistake coming in behind Liam. As the Mercedes garage, you can most definitely see Toto Wolff breaking something.
Jeb has retired in the pits, I believe.
Ooh, and there's a retirement from Jeb in the pits. Toto Wolff has definitely broken a desk over in that Mercedes garage today.
Just see him with his head in his hands.
CJ on the 3-lap hold hard. It's currently running in 5th behind Juicebox. The VSC has created a multitude of gaps in this timing tower, Henry. Wisp has taken a 3-second time penalty after multiple warnings, and out of the 19 drivers that began this race, Henry, we are down to 14. So 5 of the drivers unable to finish. Tammy Halla, Robbo, Sensorless, JM2, and Jeb have all become statistics here. CJ, less than half a second separating him and the Red Bull of Juicebox. Will he be able to make a move coming down into turn 1? It looks like he's going to go for it. Perhaps down the inside? No, he stays behind.
Kai takes 3 seconds. He's got 6 seconds now, I believe. And Jay with just a 3.
CJ along the inside of that Red Bull is going to get that move done quite easily. Maxim, who has had a very dynamic race, currently running in 6th on 6-lap old hards. You can see here now, I just want to take a moment to mention the timings of the top 3. Kai Bacchini, who is on the older tires than Jay, was not leading this race at the safety car restart. He overtook Jay and has pulled out almost 2.5 seconds from the McLaren, who they have both really shown great pace here, but Kai Bacchini is showing extreme speed. Kai Bacchini, as I say that, setting the fastest lap at 1:18.2 here on lap 23. Maxim on the rear of Juicebox, going to have the DRS, but I do believe Juicebox with the DRS behind CJ as well. We'll see if Maxim's able to make something happen. Extreme, not his teammate, in 7th position behind him on the fresher hard compound tires. Jack S has decided to pit for fresh mediums. Liam into 9th now. Max Inkster is into the points in 10th position. Maxim up the inside of Juicebox. Juicebox a little wide on the outside there, looking for space to maneuver. Maxim
pushing wide.
Pushing him a little wide there, and that's Extreme taking massive advantage of that. Juicebox has dropped into 7th position here on lap 23. Extreme in 6th, Maxim in 5th. Now, as it is Mexico, Henry, we can't forget to remind the viewers as Extreme up the inside of Maxim, getting that move done. What a beautiful move from the Ferrari. Very clean. We can't forget to remind the viewers that penalties are going to play a role at the end of this race. As soon as these drivers cross that line, I guarantee you we are going to see some kind of shuffle in positions.
Mexico, that's what it's known for.
Maxim with the DRS on Extreme, perhaps looking to make a move to get that 5th position back.
Maxime down the inside. Fantastic clean move there from the Canadian. Or as Extreme goes to switchback move. Maxime has closed the door on that. Great racecraft from both drivers.
Very intense battling between the Canadian and Extreme.
As Nigel is ever so slightly getting close to the G, he's got the DRS open.
Doesn't look like he's going to have the juice to make a move here. 12-lap-old mediums versus Jay's 7-lap-old mediums. Nigel with extreme speed here in Mexico. Oh, and the battle
Typical
between
Moen.
Maxim and Extreme is still going, as we've had a cheer, I believe Henry was about to say.
Typical Moen, thank you for the 100 bits.
Big shout out to Typical Moen. Thank you for the bits, my friend. Looks like a great league you guys set up here. Can't wait for F1 2020. Greatly appreciate the message, my friend. We can't wait either.
Gadwin looks very...
And there's the overtake. That's Nigel getting out in front of Jay out in turn 1. From, it would seem, a very routine overtake down into that turn 1 from the long straight here in Mexico. Maxim and Extreme still battling back and forth. Juicebox, though, has come into the party. He's looking for the inside. Maxim very tightly squeezes him out there, not giving him that much room to work. As we come into the double right-hander, you can see Juicebox has dropped off just a little bit. Maxim doing very well to keep him at bay for the time being. He is on 1-lap fresher tires.
Jay, gonna make a move. Going down the long straight.
He is going to have the DRS. I'm hoping to see a move from him, as he should be pulling a little bit more pace out of that car at the moment, considering what we saw him do in qualification. Of course, fuel can play a role here in the weight of the vehicle, but he decides to stick with Nigel. You know, if Nigel is this quick, let's just say Nigel is this quick at the moment on those 14-lap-old mediums, and he's showing us that he is. If Jay is quick enough to maintain DRS, it is very possible that if Nigel has quicker pace than Kai Bacchini at the moment, he could pull Jay into some striking distance here.
Exactly, that's what we want to see.
Meanwhile, still battling, Extreme and Maxim have been trading places for the last few laps, constantly overtaking one another at the same turns. We've seen them get into some scraps here at this double right heading into the S's section. Ooh, big slide out from Extreme there. Juicebox not far enough, or not close enough, excuse me, to make anything happen as a result of that mistake. But you can see now Extreme has already dropped off of Maxim. Almost a second and a half as he enters into the stadium section, and he takes a 3-second time penalty after multiple warnings for cutting the inside curb. Juicebox with the DRS on Extreme. Extreme not going to be able to do anything about it, as he isn't going to have DRS on Maxim anymore. Jack S and Max Inkster having a bit of an exchange here. It looks like Max Inkster's had an off. Gadwin and Jack S are going to be getting out in front of him now. Jay still within a second of Nigel, sticking with him, as Nigel is currently 6.3 seconds away from Kai Bacchini. Kai Bacchini on the 2-lap fresher compound tires in lead of this race at the moment. We have 8 laps remaining here, including our present lap. As we're on lap 28 out of 36, Kai Bacchini now about to cross the line, coming through the final turn.
You think Nigel can catch up to Kai? Striffian?
I think it's very possible that Nigel can catch up to Kai if he keeps things clean. Of course, there's still a good chunk of this race left. Penalties can play a massive, massive role. And I think that we're going to see those penalties play that massive role at the end of this race. Of course, I'm not aware of what Kai Bacchini's penalties are, or if he's accumulated any at all. If you're able to check, that would give us a much better picture, and our viewers a much better picture of where things stand at the moment. Liam getting out in front of Juicebox down the straight.
Looks like Kai has a 9-second penalty, so with Nigel getting none.
That means the battle that we're looking at right now, Kai Bacchini needs to absolutely push on those tires, which will be very hard to do during the final few laps of this race. And I think, Henry, we are going to be in for an absolutely thrilling race finish here as a result of penalties.
Jay has one penalty as well.
Currently in 8th position on the 12-lap-old hards. Trying to stick with Liam. Liam gaining on extreme now. He's already starting to pull away. Liam, who was at one point very much in this race, who went to being out of this race with a very cheeky pit stop under the virtual safety car, has brought him back into things on these fresh mediums. Extreme on the 11-lap-old hards is definitely going to be losing out to the quicker medium compound tires at this stage in the race. Liam, you can see, is absolutely gaining on him. And we have an exchange of positions there. It's a Max and Wisp. Looks like they're battling in the stadium section there. It's a Max lost out, though, as Wisp on the 8-lap-old softs, who is definitely going to be feeling those, is down into the pits. And there is the overtake from Liam down into turn 1. You can see now he gets out in front of that Ferrari. They're still wheel to wheel. Is there going to be some kind of switchback here? Liam with the DRS, Extreme without any. In the slipstream, though, with a great carry of speed on that outside. Doesn't look like he's going to get it done. Maybe. Very good on the braking there. Liam almost goes wide. Does a very good job of trying to keep it in the track limits. Not wanting to take any penalties there is the Mercedes. Very tight racing action here that we've seen so far. Good job from Liam getting himself back up into 6th position on those medium compound tires. He's going to be coming up quite quickly on those hard runners ahead of him. Maxim and CJ, of course, are the 2 drivers that I'm talking about. And perhaps by the end of this race, if Liam keeps things as clean as humanly possible, he could be in. And I'm saying it now, Henry. He could be in for a shock podium.
Exactly. Let's have a look at Liam's penalties. I believe he's...
Meanwhile, Jay in 3rd position has lost out on the DRS behind the rear of Nigel in that Renault. Kai Bacchini is pulling a gap on Nigel. The gap currently 7.9. Barring any further penalties, he needs to get that gap to, at the very least, 9 seconds out in front of Nigel. Nigel is on the older tires, so it's very possible Kai Bacchini can pull that off. Gadwin took a 5-second penalty just then as he went in to get off those 17-lap-old mediums for speeding in the pit lane. Now, a good question is, does Jay have penalties? I believe you already checked. Nigel doesn't have any. Jay may have a penalty.
Jay has
here.
1.
So he has 1 penalty.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Nigel has 1 penalty as well. Sorry, I must have missed that.
So Nigel has 1 penalty as well. So things could most definitely come down to the wire. CJ currently 14.0 seconds off of the podium positions. For Racing Point, Maxim in 5th, 3.1 seconds behind him, and Liam is currently running in 6th. Wisp with a 1:17.980, the fastest lap of the race here so far. He's currently running in 11th position on the fresh soft compound tires. Gadwin onto the fresh soft compound tires as well. Juicebox has just taken a 3-second time penalty after multiple warnings. Mexico striking again. As a multitude of +2-second gaps have formed here. Only a few laps remaining here in Mexico, and we'll be jumping into Tier 1 action at 5 o'clock Central Daylight Time, or 11 p.m. British Summer Time.
Cannot wait for that one, Striff. It's going to be a belter.
It is going to be an absolute intense battle. Henry, for those of you who are new, will be, of course, racing for Williams in the Tier 1 division. So make sure, if you've enjoyed the commentary this afternoon or evening, wherever you may be, that you go and show him some love over there when we kick things off in just under an hour's time. Of course, joining me in the commentary booth will be Australian Mikal, the Australian Mikal. Thank you, everybody, for your follows these past few minutes. Of course, greatly appreciate all of the support. If you have any friends and family who love and enjoy Formula One, we highly encourage you to toss them a link to the stream so that they can follow along in all of the action. We've got one more round left this season. Next week, we'll be watching another 2 races in Suzuka for the Japanese Grand Prix round 17. Can confirm Nigel and Jay currently running with 1 penalty apiece. Kai Bacchini, on the other hand, has now pulled out a plus 9.7 second gap from P2.
Gonna be close.
Squid, for the second time in this race, taking a 5-second penalty for crossing the pit line exit, or the pit exit line. Kai Bacchini, who has had a very, very unique season here in Season 2, to say the least, for Division 2, or Henry. Currently leading this race 10.8 seconds. 20-lap-old mediums on the penultimate lap of this race. As all of these tires start to age, this is where you want to be paying closer attention to race control, as penalties can come across. Loss of traction means deeper turns. Means you need to go earlier into the braking. And you can see there, going off a little bit wide. Very, very careful here. I believe he's coming up on a back marker now. That is
Nigel
a Haas.
is 1 warning off a penalty, so he needs to keep it clean the last 2 laps. And his has retired in the pits, I believe, yeah.
Very unfortunate performance from Squid today, as he's reserving in the Racing Point. Kai Bacchini needing to overtake Max Inkster here. Blue flags, of course, for the Haas driver.
DRS as well for Kai.
Very good
Almost 12
for the
seconds.
Williams. That DRS is going to help him pull away. It is the final lap of this race now as Kai Bacchini crosses the line. Which means Unfortunately for Max Inkster and Gadwin, I do believe this race is finished once Kai Bacchini crosses that line, putting them a lap down. So the current running order is Kai Bacchini, Nigel for Renault, and Jay for McLaren for your top 3 provisional podium finishers. Kai Bacchini now making his way through the S's section in Sector 2, coming across on the outside curbing into Stadium Section we go, as he is about to win, barring any penalties, this Round 16 Mexican Grand Prix here for Misfits Racing League Season 2. It will be his second win here for MRL.
Fantastic
as he crosses
drive
the line
from
now.
Mr. Kai.
Little bit of a celebratory weave from him. Nigel now rounding the final turn. Where is he going to finish? 12.9 seconds is the gap at the moment. He is going to finish in second. Jay finishing here in third, a second, 0.4 behind. CJ now rounding through the stadium section for Racing Point on the 18-lap Old Hards. Where is he going to finish here in this one? After penalties, it looks like that gap is most definitely going to give him fourth, but is Maxim close enough to force a switch? No, he is not.
Oh, Liam
As
jumps
Maxim drops into sixth with Liam into fifth position. It is a Canadian 5-6 here in Mexico. Extreme in seventh. Juicebox now rounding the line to cross in eighth. Jack S coming through in the Ferrari. Juicebox, I know, had a good chunk of penalties, and it will put him back into ninth position as Jack S has been promoted into eighth, and Wisp has actually jumped Juicebox as well into ninth position. We're going to take a look real quick at the fastest lap of the race. I do think that Wisp may have actually gotten it there as he got himself into the top 10. What a race, Henry. And there you have it, Kai Bacchini on the podium,
look
winning this
flags.
race. It's an all-English podium.
I don't want to offend anyone's drift, but just might be British, as we don't know the state of the other people.
Well, I thought it. Well, it's three Union Jacks on the podium today. Great Mexican Grand Prix for sure, Henry. There you have it. Kai Bacchini winning this race. Started in second, finishes first here. Nigel in second from 13th. Jay, who started on pole position, finishes there in third. CJ in fourth. Liam in fifth. Maxim in sixth. Extreme in seventh. Jack S in eighth. Wisp in ninth. And It's a Max rounding off your top 10. Take a look at the race director. As the MRL race director, Mr. Mikow, will get very frustrated with me should I not get to the end of the race director, and it's just so damn long. I'm trying. Oh, I couldn't get to the end. Great race, great stuff from all of our Tier 2 drivers. Of course, if you enjoyed the race, make sure you smash that follow button. We are going to be back here in just under 40 minutes time for the Tier 1 race, which will also be held here at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico City. As always, thank you very much, everybody, for watching. I would like to give a special shout out to Typical Moen for the 100 bits, as he says he can't wait for F1 2020, and it looks like a great league we have here, and we greatly appreciate that feedback, my friend. Henry, any closing regards after this one here in Mexico?
Fantastic race once again from the Tier 2 drivers. I just want to shout out Kai Bacchini for his birthday today. So happy birthday, Mr. Kai.
Oh, what a win from Kai then. A good old birthday win for Kai Bacchini. Good job to him. His second win here in the Misfits Racing League. And we'll be looking forward to seeing him in Suzuka, of course. And we are going to be jumping into some Tier 1 action in just under 1 hour's time. So with that, we are going to leave you, and we will hopefully see you for the next race. Until then, You guys all have a great evening. Thanks for watching, guys. We hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure you smash that like button to let us know, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you're interested in more great racing content. We are live on Twitch every week on twitch.tv Misfits Racing League. Hit us up in the description below for our Discord and Twitter links as well. Always looking to get connected on those, and if you're interested in joining the MRL, Discord is the place to be. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on our next video.